The Stanley Hotel is a 140-room property in Estes Park, Colorado, and was the inspiration for the Overlook Hotel in the 1977 Stephen King novel, The Shining, which was turned into a film adaptation directed by Stanley Kubrick in 1980. But was it this novel that caused the hauntings here? Or was it the other way around? Estes Valley was once a wild, lonely parkland known only to the nomadic Native American tribes of the Ute and Arapaho. But from 1872 to 1884, the Earl of Dunraven used preemption rights and the Homestead Act of 1862 to acquire 15,000 acres of land in Estes Valley and use it as a hunting preserve. This did not go well for Lord Dunraven, as his popularity with the local farmers and ranchers caused him to move in 1884. He then placed the acreage in the management of an overseer. In 1903, the inventor of the steam-powered car, Freeland Oscar Stanley, was threatened with the deadliest disease of the day, tuberculosis. The recommended treatment at the time was fresh, dry air, with as much sunlight as possible, and a hearty diet. People with this affliction, including Stanley, would relocate to the Rocky Mountains, thinking the air there would cure them. Stanley and his wife Flora traveled to Denver in March of 1903, and per his doctor's advice, moved out to Estes Park for the summer. His health would improve drastically, and this would bring him back to town every year. By 1907, Stanley had fully recovered from the disease, but Estes Park remained his summer destination. No longer happy with the rustic accommodations of the area, Stanley decided to make Estes Park into a resort town. So it was later in 1907 that construction began on the Hotel Stanley, a 48-room grand hotel that catered to the moderately wealthy and those with tuberculosis that looked for a healthier climate. The land was purchased in 1908 through the representatives of Lord Dunraven. Stanley had even suggested that the hotel be called the Dunraven, but his lordship was so disliked that 180 people signed a petition on buckskin requesting that he name it for himself instead. The main hotel and concert hall were completed in 1909, and the manor house in 1910. But a gas explosion in 1911 would injure 8 people and one very seriously. The concussion of the blast reported to hurl a maid, Elizabeth Wilson, from the second floor to the first floor, to which the fall broke both of her ankles. In 1926, Stanley sold the hotel to a private company, but the venture failed. He bought it back in 1929 out of foreclosure, then sold it again in 1930 to Roe Emery, a fellow auto and hotel magnate. Until 1983, the resort was only open during the summer, shutting it down in the winter every year. The site currently has 11 structures, including the main hotel, concert hall, a carriage house, manager's cottage, gatehouse, and the lodge, a smaller bed and breakfast originally called the Manor House, all of which have reported paranormal activity. We're going to add a chapter to this story by looking at the property from the quartz limestone tunnels under the hotel to reportedly the most active 4th floor, and answer that burning question: is the Stanley Hotel truly haunted, or just another work of fiction?